The crypto market currently is still a sea of red, and this is to be expected, especially going into Monday. The biggest focus from my perspective right now is just kind of getting through the weekend and then seeing how stocks open tomorrow. I think that tomorrow is going to be very telling on where we go next from here. However, we need to focus on a few things around the crypto market. Number one, exactly what happened, right? What happened on Friday to cause this crazy crash? We talked about it slightly. We addressed it with, Trump announcing the tariffs against China, which definitely accelerated the big swing in the market with people panicking, thinking that it was going to be like the, beginning of the year with the tariff discussions and the trade war. But there's a little bit more around this that's just not sitting well with a lot of people, including even myself, which we'll have to address. The biggest thing here his Bitcoin is hovering around 112K currently, Ethereum around 3,800, XRP still around like $2.40. On the weekly, we still see those deep reds. Even if we're looking at the weekly right now on Crypto Bubbles, there's only a few outliers here. The rest are still deep red, like XLM, HBAR, XRP, and all of those great projects that we talk about constantly. I mean, most of them are down 19 to 20+%, which is just wild to see. Now, if we're thinking about this recent market sell-off, it was the largest one in history compared to even FTX, compared to even COVID. Just for reference, back in 2020 when COVID hit and the market sold off, everyone thought crypto was dead. They thought it was done. People were so terrified that it was the end of crypto, that the bubble burst, that it was just like the dot-com bubble. And guess what? That was $1.2 billion in liquidations. FTX, same story. $1.6 billion in liquidations. Friday's sell-off, $19.3 billion. That is a 10x from the FTX crash. More than a 10x. And including even the COVID crash. That is crazy to think about. That amount of liquidations led to a massive collapse. But it was also the fact that when you play with leverage, things like this happen constantly. It leads to a cascade. We have here, I counted 1,010 traders that are down 100,000 plus today, and 206 traders that are down 1 million plus today on Hyperliquid. 358 of those accounts lost everything and have a zero balance, including one person who lost all 19 million plus in their account. We have some of these traders down $59 million, $35 million, 20, almost 2 million. It is insane to see this. Again, this is why I've always said this. Playing with leverage, you're just waiting to get burned. This is why you do not touch leverage at all. Buy spot, hold it. That's it. It's the best way to win in the space. Now, if we're thinking about this did lead to fear in the market. We are down to 31, the lowest point that we've been at since going back to April of this year. We didn't hit the extreme fear like in April, but we are getting pretty damn close. This is showing us and telling us that the market is scared. People don't know what to expect going forward. They don't know what exactly caused this big collapse. They know that it was the tariff discussions. They know that, now we're starting to see this trade war heat up again. But what if I told you that it's much deeper than that? What if I told you that this was all pre-planned? That's right. This sell-off was planned. We're going to talk about it. But first, let's address a few things. Number one, Bitcoin. Bitcoin is hovering around 112K. This is what the daily looks like. We're starting to build back, which is very good to see. I would love to see us get this nice rounding push to the upside. If we can reclaim 120K, that would be huge. We need a little bit more time here, though, to confirm this bottom on Bitcoin. In terms of Ethereum, again, Ethereum looking pretty good as well. We have a lot more work to do here. Reclaiming 4K would be a good start. And then after that, we start to kind of look at some of these additional key levels to really kind of flip on this chart. And then also on XRP, still looking pretty good here on the daily view. On the 7-day, we still need a little bit more work to do. But I will say this. XRP has been creating lower time frame structure bullish divergence, which is leading us to the conclusion that XRP did bottom on this recent drop, and we should start to push back above $2.50 and then retarget $2.70, which will be a very good start to a much stronger recovery. Now, looking at Bitcoin, this is what I was looking at on Bitcoin for the daily view. So RSI is starting to have a nice uptrend since going all the way back to that September 25th low. We are building out some support on this trend line. I would love for this to, be maintained and, continue to hold. I'm going to move this first line up a little bit. I would love for us to reclaim that high going back to September 24th and also the 25th, which is right around 113.4K. After we flip that, well, I would like to see us push above 115.4K and then finally flip the highs around 117.6K. This would also be a flip of support going all the way back to July. After we flip these three key levels, we should be on a path to 120K again, and we should start to have a much larger recovery on this chart. But right now, we need to really focus on how the markets open tomorrow. The S&P is going to be a very, very big focus from my point of view. I think that we could see a little bit more pain before things really bounce back. So I would say prepare for a little bit more pain before we expect the big bounce across the board. Now, like I said, this recent sell-off was planned. For example, we have over here, this is from Vivek Sen. We have someone just opened a Bitcoin short 30 minutes before the Trump's tariff announcement and just closed with $88 million in profit. He opened this account today. This is something that must be focused on, because what this is showing us is that someone had a tip. Someone knew about this announcement before it officially got announced. Bull Theory put out a great post regarding this. Trump just triggered the biggest crypto crash. You could argue that it was Trump. You could argue that it was China. It does not matter. Regardless of who was the culprit, which I would argue that it was multiple people, it was all pre-planned. Here's what happened. 2 days before Trump's Truth Social post, one of the Bitcoin's oldest wallets suddenly started opening large short positions on both Bitcoin and Ethereum worth billions of dollars. No catalyst, no headlines, just silent movement on chain. Then came the post. Trump warned that China would face massive tariffs, hinting at a trade escalation. Markets reacted instantly with a small dip. Some volatility, but nothing major yet. But then the real hit came hours later. From the White House podium, Trump officially announced 100% tariffs on all Chinese imports starting November 1st. A shock no one priced in. Within minutes, chaos followed. The S&P 500 fell over 2%, its sharpest single-day drop since April. Bitcoin plunged to 102K, erasing weeks of gains. Altcoins entered freefall, most dropping 70 to 90% within minutes. Over $20 to $22 billion in positions liquidated, real exposure likely $40 billion to $50 billion plus. Nearly $1 trillion in crypto market cap wiped out in less than 3 hours. And here's where things get strange. 30 minutes before Trump's official announcement, that same whale doubled their short exposure. When the market crashed, the positions were closed for an estimated $200 million in profit. The timing was too perfect to ignore. Was it coincidence, or did someone know what was happening? Because minutes after that, it wasn't just traders getting hit. It looked like a major entity got completely blown off. The crash across large cap alts wasn't normal volatility. It felt structural, as if a fund or desk was forced to unwind positions all at once. Every exchange saw cascading liquidations. Even USDE depegged 35 to 40%. This wasn't a retail dump. It was a full leverage cleanse. But here's the bigger picture. Every bull market has a moment like this, a violent sudden purge that resets leverage and clears weak hands. March 2020 had it, mid 2023 had it, now October 2025 just got its own. And history says these purges don't end bull runs, they restart them. Because now leverage is wiped out, shorts are overextended, strong hands are quietly buying from panic sellers. Trump's tariff threat may have triggered the drop, but what follows next is the real story. The market just flushed out months of excess in one move. And when the dust settles, this becomes the base for the next expansion phase. So yes, the headlines scream market crash, but zoom out, the structure didn't break, it just reset. The whales already took their entry. Retail, is still panicking. And history says that's exactly when the next leg begins. Now, I agree. But the crazy part about all of this is this was 100% pre-planned. There's absolutely no way you are getting this lucky with timing this and being able to close at 200 million plus in profit during this entire time. Most of the exchanges that would even allow you to trade leverage were all down. This was a much larger player. And this was all calculated from the start. There was no headlines, no announcements, but whales were already in the know. This is very telling. Now, the big thing here, violent recovery, setting the stage for a parabolic rise from this moment on. How will this look? Well, it all depends on tomorrow. Tomorrow is the big focus. If stocks open at a positive net gain and we continue to push higher and we create a new all-time high, markets are completely bottomed out and we should continue higher across the board. But it all aligns with what China and the US do. Because we have over here from the Kobayashi letter, breaking. China appears to soften their stance on recent rare earth export controls. China now says, number 1, the recent change is not a full export ban. Number 2, applications that meet regulations will be approved. Number 3, willing to engage in deeper dialogue. Number 4, looks for global industrial and supply chain stability. Number 5, relevant impact of export controls is very limited. Number 6, calls this a necessary defensive action. China also adds that they will take measures if the US persists in raising tariffs. If President Trump responds and de-escalates on Sunday, today, markets are set for a big jump on Monday. The reactivity of markets to Trump's post remains incredibly high. More clarity is now being obtained. And yeah, if we start to see this entire situation de-escalate before Monday's open, we could see stocks trading significantly higher. We could see Bitcoin continue significantly higher as well, breaking through almost all 3 of these levels in a single daily candle, just like we did have this massive drop to the downside. And this would also lead to altcoins like XRP having a much larger violent recovery across the board. But it all depends on how this situation really kind of continues out today, and then also how stocks open on Monday. We are watching this closely, but I do believe that this was all pre-planned. I agree with bull theory here. There's absolutely no way that this wasn't pre-planned. This is all manipulation. This was to shake out weak hands and reset the market completely, which it exactly did. This entire market is now reset. Bitcoin on almost all time frame structures is reset. So when we think about this, even compared to the S&P, I mean, look at the RSI on this chart. It's crazy to see this reset in real time. When we think about this, this is typically setting up for a major bounce and a crazy push to the upside, which will lead to that big blow off, just like we saw back in, from March all the way through 2021. And then also even in prior time periods as well. Like, for example, 2023. So I'm expecting this to lead to a massive push to the upside. This will also most likely coincide with a wave 5 structure forming on all charts, which will also lead to Altseason and the eventual top of the cycle. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.